Hello and welcome, friend, to the Spooky Chris podcast. My name is Chris Ringler. You are aforementioned Spooky Chris. I am an author, reviewer, general ne'er-do-well, and I welcome you. You can find all my podcasts and everything else at spookychris.com. I wanted to talk for a few minutes about kind of, I've written a lot about legacy and kind of what our lives say about us. But it's been interesting to kind of think about also kind of not just what our lives say about us, but what other people say about us. I had recently gone to a service for a family member who had passed away, and the family members spoke during it, and it was fascinating because it was the first service I'd ever been to like this, where they were brutally honest on kind of the triumphs and the failings of their parent. And it was fascinating because it wasn't mean spirited, because you'll see those sometimes pop up. How someone, and I can think of one specifically, where a father had passed away, and they had put an obituary. It was very, very unflattering and very brutal to match their experience with the person. And this wasn't that. This was all done with love, but it's interesting because that part of the family, they're very, very honest about things, and come at you straight, and that's how they handled this. And it was refreshing, and it was shocking. I'm not used to seeing that. I mean, I don't think many of us are hearing that kind of a honesty. When someone dies, we are very mindful to be gentle on how we speak of them, because they can't speak for themselves anymore. All we have is the historical record, as it were. And the fact is, each one of us has a different relationship with everyone else. You might know someone who's seems like the greatest person around, and to someone else in their past, they were the worst person in the world. You just don't know. And you don't know generally, unless it's, big, evil kind of person. You don't know the totality of that person. So it's basically all we have are the words and deeds and memories to judge people by. And none of us are ever going to be judged completely fairly. Some will be judged as better people, and others as worse than they may have been. But the fact is that we're all at best, falling in the gray, and just hopefully are trying to stay in that gray, and leave behind fond memories, and not cheers at our death. But it's interesting because it's the stories we tell about one another is fascinating, though. And I'm of an age now where I can, I've been to enough funerals and have lost enough people, and can kind of see all this and just how we tell the tales about one another. And it's so interesting. And to see, what's said, what's not said, what, again, like, we all have our own relationship with one another that no one else has. You share moments with one another. You share, laughs and tears and loves and heartaches and all of it. And no one else experiences that except, those that are there. And even if, say, it was a group of people, each person's interpretation is different, because we're all similar machines with different working parts. in different circuitry. So we never see things the same way. Just like there's not, any kind of 100% truth. Like it is just this way. It'll never be different. There's always wiggle room with how someone sees the world and how they experience the world. And I guess the best we can all hope for is that we are seen as holistically as possible, faults and all. Like, I don't think any of us want to think that people are focusing on our faults and our foibles and the problems that we leave behind, and hopefully. But you also, I don't know that it's as much as we'd like to canonize ourselves. It's not healthy to do that with people, because we have to understand that people do have faults, they have flaws, they have issues, and it is what it is, and we are complicated animals, and in being that, we complicate one another, and so it's not I think it makes total sense, and I've spoken at a funeral, and heaven knows I would never dig up any cadavers on someone, or if I had a bad incident with someone and was asked to speak, it's not who I am. If it's especially somebody I cared about, I'm not that person. But I do think it's fair to try to, even just personally, remember the not so awesome times. And it's hard for me to want people to like, oh God, he was such a jerk that time, or he did this, or he did that, or he wrote this, he wrote that. But I sure as hell know I'm not perfect, and I'm sure you're not perfect. So we just kind of have to come to terms with that. And there is no perfection. We're not saints. We're not angels. But we don't got to be jerks to one another. We don't got to be bullies to one another. We can still kind of be cool. And that's kind of what you try to do, is you try to do the best you can, with the people that you love and in your life, and the people you come across. Like, just pass on the least amount of pain as possible. But hope that your life impacted and affected someone and meant something to them. And it's our story. It's the stories people tell about us that keep us around. Funny and sad and silly and like, oh, they did this and it frustrated me so much. Like, all of it is what keeps our memory alive. I think that's the only way it should be. We're not immortal. In 100 years, no one will remember any of us, unless you're some great, villain or great hero of the time. And that's okay, because 100 years from now is for those people, and 100 years from then is for those people. We have too many people in charge right now who are more than happy to just deep core drill everything possible without any thought of the future and any repercussions, because they just don't care. They care about this moment, and we should always think about the next moment. We should always think about a consequence. And we should always be mindful of a day's going to come when we're not here. And it's one of those things, like, it's silly, but you can ask yourself, what's someone going to say about me? Are they going to say nice things about me? And sure, people will always like, oh, what a lovely person. Yes. But did they mean it? I certainly wouldn't want people to, and people aren't going to gnash their teeth and like wail and throw themselves on the ground when I die. Heaven knows there's at least someone out there that'll cheer hooray. If not more than one. And that's life. But I would like to try to keep being better and leave maybe a happy memory with people, or a frustrating one. Who knows? Either way. And it's not really about whether or not people say nice things about you. I guess it's about whether they say true things. And that's it in the end. Is the least we all deserve is for someone to speak true on us. Good, bad, and ugly, I guess. I certainly wouldn't want to be here to hear what people say when I'm gone. But I guess at least they're talking about me. Friend, you can find all my podcasts at spookychris.com and on the podcast streams. You can find all my blogs and everything else on spookychris.com. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.